Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the February edition of the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission. I will go ahead and call us to order, and we'll begin as we do with every meeting, which is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right, and great news, we have 100% attendance tonight, so we can mark that down. And we're going to move ourselves right along here. I don't see any old business to come before us, so we'll move straight on to new business. And the only item we have up this evening is the purchase agreement for 124-126 North Lebanon Street. And Derek, are you going to do any? Nope, we're great. Perfect. So as you guys know, we've been working on this item for quite some time now. We've got ourselves into a pretty good position. I think there's still maybe a little bit of legal language that our legal team would like to clear up for us. But we do have a resolution here. And Rob, do we want to start by reading it in maybe? Or...
Yeah, I could, Mr. President, Commissioners, if you like, or I could hit the highlights.
Highlights, perfect.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and read this in, and then we can answer any questions that you may have. So Resolution 2025-01, again, is a resolution from this commission approving the form and execution of a purchase and sale agreement, as well as determining eligibility for historic preservation grant for real property located again at 124-126 North Lebanon Street. So the highlights are, again, we had the initial offer a little over a year and a half ago in August of 2023 that all those bids were opened. In October of 2023, Douglas Homes, as you recall, was determined to be at that point in time the highest and best bid. After some discussions back and forth with Douglas Homes, and Douglas Homes ultimately determined it did not wish to move forward with the purchase. So thereafter, this commission authorized sending out another RFP, and that was done in the fall of 2024. This commission received two bids in response to the offer sheet. A.T. Vaughn, as you recall, and Dunamis Development, LLC. Ultimately, after consideration of all the statutory factors, this commission determined that the bid submitted by Dunamis was the highest and best bid for the development of the city's downtown district. As a result of that determination, this commission accepted the bid for Dunamis in December 19, 2024. As provided in the bid package, we attached that to this resolution as Exhibit A. There were certain requests for facade improvements to the property, and that's defined in this resolution as the facade improvements. In connection with that, Dunamis desires to apply for reimbursement of all direct costs associated with the improvements for the historic building preservation grant program, and that's defined in this resolution as the grant program. The RDC is preliminary determined that the property, again, that's defined, upon acquisition by Dunamis will qualify as an eligible property under the grant program. The RDC has reviewed the bid package and has determined the reimbursement of the costs associated with the facade improvements and development of the property as a whole will enhance the development of the city's downtown district, will assist Dunamis in making quality improvements to the property, fostering a sense of place, and promote the historic preservation of the city's downtown district. Further, the RDC has determined that the information and materials provided by Dunamis as part of its bid package substantially comply with the requirements for application under the grant program. In connection with the submission of the bid package, this commission desires to waive the requirement for Dunamis to submit two itemized cost estimates for the facade improvements, and instead desires to permit the submission of only one itemized estimate by Dunamis. This RDC desires to approve the reimbursement to Dunamis under the grant program, subject to the submission for and receipt of a certificate of appropriateness from the Lebanon Historic Preservation Commission, or the HPC, and submission and approval of other materials that may be required by the RDC or the HPC prior to disbursement of the grant program. This RDC is determined that to promote the development of the property and the goals of the grant program, Dunamis shall be eligible to receive up to $200,000 of then available grant program funds, and that's defined in this resolution as a grant for reimbursement of the cost for the facade program, provided, however, that the disbursements of the grant shall only be made if, after acquisition of the property, number one, Dunamis has applied for and received a certificate of appropriateness from the HPC. Two, the property remains an eligible property as defined under the grant program at the time of Dunamis' formal application for grant disbursement. Three, Dunamis complies in all respects with the requirements and procedures of the grant program. And four, the facade improvements are made in substantially the same manner as provided in the bid package. Whereas this commission has determined it is now in the best interest of the RDC to enter into a purchase agreement by and between the RDC and Dunamis for the property. That's defined as the purchase agreement, which is in substantially the form attached as Exhibit B, providing for the sale of the property and the grant to Dunamis, provided, however, again, the disbursement of the grant shall remain subject to the terms outlined in this resolution and the purchase agreement. So therefore, this commission finds that those recitals are incorporated by reference. The bid package shall constitute Dunamis' application for reimbursement under the grant program, and the RDC waives the requirement for submission of two itemized cost estimates from professional contractors under the grant program. Three, Dunamis shall be eligible to receive the grant, again, subject to the requirements that I outlined before, and those were the four provisos earlier, again, that they have applied for and received the certificate of appropriateness from the HPC. The property remains an eligible property as defined under the grant program. Dunamis complies in all respects with the requirements and procedures of the grant program, and the facade improvements are made in substantially the same manner as provided for in the bid package. The RDC will execute and deliver a purchase agreement consistent with the terms of this resolution, and it will execute and deliver any other agreements and perform and observe such other actions as may be necessary in connection with the purchase agreement. And each agreement or other document contemplated by this resolution shall be in a form approved by and satisfactory to the president of the RDC upon the advice of legal counsel, which approval shall be evidenced by the execution and delivery thereof by the president or vice president of the RDC. And again, the president is authorized to execute and deliver all the agreements. In the absence of the president, the vice president and or secretary shall be authorized to do this, and this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption. So I know that's a lot. I don't know, Mr. President, do you want to hit the highlights on why it's so detailed, or I can touch on it if you like?
If you want to, feel free.
Okay, so one of the things in talking over the course of the several months that we've been doing this is how can we, number one, we've been through 2 RFP processes and we've awarded it. This body has awarded it to Dunamis, and we have now been in one exchange of the purchase agreement that I would say is, as Corey mentioned, we're very close. There are a couple of points that I have a red line draft of it, but we wanted to at least have this before you this evening to see if we could, if you had any questions, we could get this approved and we could move to finalize everything. In discussions with Corey, one of the next steps, as you know, in the offering sheet by Dunamis is that it assumed having $200,000 for the facade grant program. In order for that then to take place, we would be back before this commission going through that similar process that could take some time. In discussions, felt that if we were going to deviate from the facade program at all, we needed to have specific itemized reasons in the resolution to do that. And so the one deviation, again, is instead of having two estimates, it would just be one estimate. And then the second would be that, in effect, this resolution would be awarding that $200,000 so long as Dunamis substantially complies with those four requirements that I outlined before. So they have to go before the HPC. That's statutory, and they have to do that no matter what. They would work with the president and certainly Derek to go through that process. And then they would still have the eligibility requirements that are all in the grant program. So we felt it necessary, to the extent this commission is willing to move forward that way, to outline those in this resolution. And again, the purchase agreement is in pretty good shape, and we would anticipate, and hopefully in short order, that would be finalized. If something were to materially change in that, then we would want to bring it back to this commission for sure. So that's the 30,000-foot summary. I can answer any questions that you like.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob. Any questions from the commission?
So, Rob, this is a resolution for a one-time only exception to policy and procedure, correct?
Correct. Yep.
And then just to clarify for me, the waiver of the two bid proposals is to expedite the process, or there's a lack of contractors to bid on?
It's specifically,
question, so I don't know.
This has been a one-time request for us to look at, okay, what's the best way we can work with this particular property, because it's been in front of this commission for months and now over a year to try to finalize a purchase agreement. So I would say, at least from our standpoint on the legal side, this is a one-time exception. Unless this commission wishes to go back to the facade grant program and make changes, we could certainly do that. But in the interest of time, we felt it necessary at least to set forth the reasons in this resolution to make an exception.
And we know, Derek, you've looked at this enough to know that it would be eligible for the full 200,000 if it came up for windows, and then for roof and all these other pieces, that there's no doubt that it'd be $200,000 granted.
Right. And keep in mind too, all of the levels are still there. So if we get to a position where we don't qualify for the full two, then it could be peeled down. But based on this resolution, rather than getting two competitive bids and going through a 30, 60, 90-day process, especially since this particular building has the 180 Project 180 money tied up in it as well, timeline is important. So, other questions?
I have a question. When you say the one bid, is that the one they?
Well, I would anticipate, and Derek, you're more than welcome to answer. I would anticipate we're going to follow the same policies and procedures, working with Derek and his team to go through this process at the HPC and otherwise. It's just the exception here is, instead of getting two contractor bids for this particular program, we're asking to waive that requirement, only one. And again, in the interest of time, and Dunamis has also put together its bid package that you've already seen that is attached to this resolution as well. Yeah, and that's what's outlined in this resolution. Yeah. But Derek,
That's what the resolution.
Rob, you hit the nail on the head. I think it'll still require an itemized bid submitted to me that I will go through and digest, just like I do any other application.
I didn't see, but I just asked for clarification. The RDC is assuming no additional cost as a result of this
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Good deal. Any other questions?
Excuse me.
All right. So with that, then I would entertain a motion on, it's number one, Resolution 2025-01. One caveat, any motions, I would recommend we have final legal review as part of the motion, please.
I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution 2025-01 pending legal review and providing authority to the president to execute on behalf.
So we do have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay. So motion does carry 3-2. Thank you guys very much. I know this has been a bit of a drawn out process, but I think we're getting ourselves close to the finish line here. And hopefully we can get rid of some white vinyl siding as quickly as possible. So I'm excited for that to move forward. And even better news, that is our only agenda item. So that actually concludes our standard agenda items. We do have the claims, however, so I would entertain a motion to pay our claims.
Make a motion, we pay claims.
Got a motion? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Claims are paid. Thank you very much. And for the most popular motion of the evening, got a motion to adjourn. Dramatic pause before we receive a second from myself.
You just want to make a
We've
motion.
got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. Same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. We will see you in March.